and can I begin by remembering every soul lost to this virus, sending sympathies to their families, friends and communities, to extend our solidarity to those who are sick at this time and to wish them a full recovery, and again to acknowledge the heroic efforts of workers on the front line, particularly within our health services. And Count Corlett, today, as we are towards the tail end of Carers Week, I want to particularly acknowledge the work of carers and home carers, people whose effort, very quietly carried out, has meant that people and families have had some comfort and support in incredibly difficult circumstances. These are people to whom we all owe a huge debt of gratitude, and I sincerely hope that as the crisis abates and as we move back into normality of some sort, that their efforts are continuously acknowledged, because very often they believe that they're left behind and they're forgotten. Taoiseach, I've raised with you on a number of occasions the need for a plan for the provision of childcare. And by a plan, I mean one that's workable, that's realistic and that's sustainable. A plan that meets the real-world needs of children and of parents. A plan formulated through proper consultation with childcare professionals and experts. As we meet today, there is still considerable alarm and stress for parents. There is undoubted confusion and some anger within the childcare sector. And I have to tell you, Taoiseach, that these will not have been changed or abated by your government's very disappointing announcement yesterday. The measures announced yesterday don't constitute a plan. They don't comprise a solution. I think at best they might be described as a stopgap, a makeshift collection of short-term measures that inevitably lead parents and childcare providers back to the very same problems that we face today. Those being a lack of investment, capacity problems, fees so high that they equate to a second mortgage, and of course the precarious work and low pay of childcare workers. So despite all of yesterday's fanfare, the truth is that under your childcare package, many childcare providers will be forced to either close their doors come September, or we will see a situation where parents face another hike in childcare fees. Now, families already struggle with the cost of childcare, and I think we can all agree that another increase would be simply unbearable. Under your plan, many childcare workers may be forced onto the dole. That's the reality, Taoiseach, and it's not fair. In fact, I find it mind-boggling that your government cannot seem to grasp that childcare is absolutely vital to our society and to the building of a modern economy. You see, you can't send thousands of people back to work without an answer to their childcare needs. An hour ago, some of us stood with a large group of women outside the Dáil. These women came seeking the extension of maternity leave for 3 months. It's a common sense proposal. The mothers are concerned about the availability of childcare for their young babies. Indeed, many of them haven't yet had the opportunity to introduce their new arrivals to their wider family circle and indeed to their grandparents. So maternity leave benefit must be extended for mothers whose claim expires in the course of this pandemic. That needs to be part of a plan, and you need to go back to the drawing board, Taoiseach. You need to bring forward a workable, real plan that goes beyond September, and one that will command the confidence of parents and childcare professionals alike. Another area causing deep distress, as you have acknowledged, Taoiseach, for many parents is the matter of educational provision for children with special needs. It's now 2 weeks till July, and still we have an ongoing lack of clarity regarding summer provision. That's quite astonishing. I'm sure, like me, many of you saw the report on RTE last week, and it featured parents frankly at their wits' end, trying to provide round-the-clock care to their children. They very sadly and heartbreakingly describe their children as forgotten and left behind. And we know that too many families across the state are in this distressing situation. The development and the progress of these children has been badly affected since school closures. Current siad síos ar a cuid páistí ar nós go bhfuil dearmad déanta orthu agus go bhfuil siad fágtha ar cúl. Fága an umarcha teaghlaí tríd an stáit sa cás seo. Bhí droch thionchar ar forbairt agus dul chun cinne páistí seo ó dúna a cuid scolanna. One particular parent in this report, Ceann Comhairle, Angelina Hines, describes the impact on her daughter Zoe. She says Zoe bites her arm in frustration. She eats her clothes. Her daughter no longer engages, and she's not the child she was 9 weeks ago. She used to be able to spoon feed herself thanks to the very hard work and dedication of her teachers. Now that's stopped entirely. So these children, we all agree, need support. They need their specialised routines and they need expert care. And so parents and the children need government to act. There are concerns already, even before Minister McHugh has announced his scheme, concerns as to whether or not this scheme will answer problems in respect of protocols, organised transport, and a deep worry surrounding the issue of insurance. Taoiseach, I am at this stage genuinely concerned that your government fails to grasp the enormous strain that parents and families are under. It seems to me that you're content to roll along providing sticking plaster, half-baked fixes while parents and families are left in limbo. So here's my questions to you. Will you, Taoiseach, go back and bring forward a real plan? And by that, one I mean that in real terms allows childcare providers to reopen their doors. A plan that ensures the jobs of childcare workers and their incomes, and one that ensures parents can access childcare at affordable rates. Secondly, Taoiseach, will you provide within that plan for the 3-month extension to maternity leave? And thirdly, can you tell us that the scheme to be announced tomorrow for summer provision will answer the concerns around protocols, transport and the issue of insurance?
I appreciate what you're saying, that there are concerns about how the summer programme is going to work. And as you said, these concerns exist before the announcement has been made. So I would anticipate and hope that should Minister McHugh and Minister Harris get approval for the summer programme tomorrow, that they will be able to answer questions and allay any concerns that people have tomorrow. But in fairness to them, they can't do that until they actually have government and cabinet approval for the summer programme. In relation to childcare, we have a good plan in place. It's been largely well received, not universally well received, but largely well received, and that will facilitate the reopening of childcare centres for the months of July and August. There's a reopening grant, there's capital grants to carry out works to childcare centres, and there's also a wage subsidy, the government paying roughly 70% of the wages in the sector during that period. I agree that a longer term plan will be needed to apply from September onwards, but it's our view that, at least as of now, that should be a matter for the new government. And I know there are discussions about childcare among the parties willing to form a government. Your party has given up on any attempt to form a government. You won't have a say in that or a role in that, but obviously the parties forming a government will, and will of course consult with the sector as they should. In relation to issues around maternity leave and maternity benefit, we're happy to consider any proposals being made. In your initial contribution you said maternity benefit, later on you said maternity leave. They're not the same thing, and obviously paternity benefit, paternity leave and parental leave and parental benefit would have to come into the mix as well, because sometimes, not commonly, but sometimes the man is the main carer in a one-parent family as well. But if you have proposals that are comprehensive, we'd be very happy to examine them.
A petition has been signed by some 25,000 people, men and women, looking for an extension to the maternity benefit and leave associated with that benefit. And I would urge you to consider this and to deliver on this very quickly. It's just plain common sense. If you think about it for a second, bringing home a newborn in these circumstances, isolated from family, all of the concerns that emerge in that scenario, and then the concern as to whether or not very young children, babies, will in fact be able to access childcare places. So I want to press you on that and ask you to bring that forward. Your childcare plan isn't a proper plan. I've made that point to you. I'm disappointed that on reflection you can't see that as a very obvious fact. And thirdly, on the issue of special provision, just bear in mind there was to be a scheme involving SNAs and supports for these children and families weeks ago, and that came to nothing. I am appealing to you, Taoiseach, not to disappoint these families and children again. They are in dire straits. They need a scheme that they can really access, and one that delivers the real supports that these families desperately need. So I hope tomorrow the scheme, as announced, will answer the concerns that I've raised and many others.